One day after one of the deadliest school shootings in U.S. history, Texas authorities are releasing new information about the gunman's actions just before the attack. They say 18-year-old Salvador Ramos posted on Facebook that he was going to shoot up an elementary school. The gunman also posted a message saying he was going to shoot his grandmother, as well as another post confirming that he'd done so. Aaron Jones has the latest.
Sadness and grief overwhelm Uvalde, Texas and the nation following another mass shooting. An 18-year-old gunman barged into an elementary school Tuesday with an assault-style rifle and high-capacity magazines.
It is intolerable and it is unacceptable for us to have in the state anybody who would kill little kids in our schools.
Authorities say the gunman shot and wounded his grandmother before the school rampage. They are investigating what led up to the massacre.
No friends, no girlfriends at this time that we know of, was unemployed, no criminal history, no gang affiliation. So we're trying to determine exactly what the motive was.
At least 21 people, including 19 young children, died. In an address to the nation last night, President Biden called on lawmakers to take action.
Why do we keep letting this happen? Where in God's name is our backbone to have the courage to deal with it and stand up to the lobbies? It's time to turn this pain into action.
Some parents waited all night here at the Civic Center to see if their child survived the massacre. Authorities even using DNA samples to try and identify some of the victims.
My daughter, Annabelle Guadalupe Rodriguez. Her name, she's only 10 years old.
Jesse Rodriguez eventually got word his daughter was one of the victims. As this community learns more about who was killed inside the school, they are grappling with a sudden and unbearable loss. Aaron Jones, CBS News, Uvalde, Texas.
Authorities now say all the shooting happened in one classroom. Police fire killed the gunman at the scene. Many parents are struggling with how to talk to their children about the school shooting because they don't want to worry their kids. Psychologists say avoiding the conversation can make the situation even scarier for children. For young children, experts say the best thing you can do is turn off the TV to avoid them seeing disturbing images. If they see it more than once, they might think it's separate events that keep happening, and that can cause anxiety. Dr. Jamie Howard is a senior clinical psychologist with the Child Mind Institute. She says conversations about serious events can start with children around school age.
The opener is, I'm feeling really sad about a news story that I saw, and I wonder if you've heard about it. You don't want to jump in with a lengthy, detailed explanation because it might be more than they need and more than they want.
Dr. Howard says parents can remind kids that statistically this violence is still very unlikely to happen at their school, and they can talk about what safety measures are in place. But you should also keep a close eye on changes to a child's emotions, behavior, appetite, or sleep, which can be signs that a child is feeling anxious. The school shooting has reignited the ongoing conversation in Congress. President Biden is empowering lawmakers to take up gun control legislation. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says the Senate will move quickly on a background check bill that already passed the House. However, Republicans have consistently been able to defeat gun control measures. 54% of Americans surveyed by CBS News earlier this month say laws covering the sale of guns should be more strict. In light of yesterday's shooting, an active shooter training took place at Cooperstown High School. That's going on this afternoon. It'll continue into this evening. School professionals and first responders are using blank bullets for realism during the exercise. Authorities are asking the public to stay away from that area. We'll have a look inside the training tonight at 10. Students at Bismarck High School spent part of their last day of school by spreading kindness to each other by placing notes on vehicles in the parking lot. You can see some of them here. The students told a reporter at our Bismarck station that with all the tough things happening in the world, they wanted to do something positive at their school. Hutch joins us now with the first look at the forecast. Hutch?
Stacy, thanks so much. Quite a variety of weather across our valley today. We have temperatures that are wide-ranging and conditions following suit. You're looking at our view of the Devil's Lake area, and we're pointed to the north and, well, off to the, actually, we're pointed off to the west just a little bit as there are some clouds drifting across the area. But no raindrops falling in the Devil's Lake area at this particular time. Here is a look at what we have going on the radar. There were showers of rain in central and eastern Minnesota throughout the day. Those are exiting, but up near the Langdon area, Walhalla, we're seeing a few showers and some thunder showers trying to develop and form. Look at all the sunshine out to the west and take a look at its impact on our Temperatures, where we have the clouds, we have low 50s out there. 52 in Wadena, 55 in Detroit Lake, 60s here in the valley down towards Oaks, and some 70s trying to make a go of it out to the west as we head into our evening hours. So our quiet conditions will continue for most. Cannot rule out a renegade shower for you in the very far north. We'll cool off tonight. The wind tapers off after an east breeze today that was pretty brisk. Grand Forks similarly. Well, we do have some thunder to talk about in the forecast as we head toward that big holiday weekend. I'll have details on what you can expect coming up here in just a moment.
All right, thanks, Hutch. 3 people are hurt following a crash in a fire in central Minnesota. Fire officials say a pickup crashed yesterday along Beauty Lake Road near Pillager. That's just west of Brainerd. Take a look at that damage. Initial reports say the fire was spreading from the pickup to nearby woods. The pickup is a total loss. The Otter Tail County Sheriff's Office reported $6,500 worth of catalytic converters were stolen last Saturday night in Newton Township, just east of New York Mills. Around $5,000 of copper optic scrap cable was also taken, bringing the total loss to more than $10,000. The suspect is reported to have broken into a secure building and taken off in a vehicle containing the stolen materials. The Otter Tail County Sheriff's Office has asked the public to contact them with any information. Protesters were in West Fargo today speaking out against presentations happening related to critical race theory. The American Experiment North Dakota hosted an event called Critical Race Theory and the Miseducation of America's Youth. West Fargo police were outside the Rustad Rec Center today just to keep an eye on things. Event organizers say their goal is to inform and take action against the teachings of critical race theory in schools. Another protest is planned at the Avalon Event Center starting at 5:30. It's been 2 years since the nation was forever changed by the images of the brutal police killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis. Now, President Biden is taking executive action aimed at reforming federal law enforcement. Natalie Brand has more from the White House.
2 years after George Floyd was murdered at the hands of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin, President Biden is signing a new executive order on police reform for federal law enforcement. The order includes provisions to establish a national database of officers fired for misconduct, ban the use of chokeholds unless deadly force is authorized, restrict the use of no-knock warrants at the federal level, adopt the use of body cams for arrests and searches, and require new standards for de-escalation and limiting the use of force.
It's an important effort. It is not a victory lap.
Damon Hewitt of the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law says his group provided input to the White House.
The executive order can, and we believe will, set a new floor, a new benchmark, that any further discussions about reform or transformation in policing must at the very least meet these standards.
The president's executive order comes after bipartisan police reform negotiations on Capitol Hill failed to move forward.
It's very, very important. We're not giving up on it.
While state and local police forces are not bound by the mandates in the executive order, the White House says it hopes it will serve as a model for local law enforcement and will include grants to incentivize local forces to adopt similar measures. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, the White House.
Representatives of the Fraternal Order of Police and a Police Chiefs Association attended today's signing. In a statement, they said components of the president's order could serve as a blueprint for congressional action. Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison issued a statement today encouraging Congress to revisit the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act, saying, in part, juries in our legal system have shown police officers can be held accountable when they break the law. Above all, Congress must do its part and pass the common sense George Floyd Justice in Policing Act. Ellison went on to say that he lifts up the Floyd family and those working for just constitutional policing and safer communities. The Congressional Budget Office released an economic outlook today saying that high inflation will persist into next year. The nonpartisan agency expects that the consumer price index will rise and inflation will slow, though it will still be significantly higher than the usual 2.3%. The CBO cautions that its numbers could change based on world events like Russia's ongoing war in Ukraine. Economists have said coronavirus relief programs issued by both the Biden and Trump administrations have contributed to higher inflation levels, but high prices have also also been fueled by a delay in action by the Fed and supply chain disruptions. Meanwhile, Federal Reserve officials agreed when they met earlier this month that they may have to raise interest rates to levels that would weaken the economy to curb inflation. The next rate hikes are expected in June and July. The economy has showed signs of slowing, and stock markets have dropped sharply since the recent Fed meeting where the rate increases were announced. New and existing home sales have fallen, and there are signs that domestic production is growing more slowly. Fed officials are betting that the economy's strength will help it withstand the higher borrowing rates without leading to mass layoffs or a recession. Some antiviral medications may help treat monkeypox. According to a new study published in The Lancet, researchers looked at 7 cases of monkeypox since 2018. They found that 2 antivirals had the potential to shorten symptoms and reduce the amount of time a patient is contagious. However, study authors warn that more research is needed.